Kit Carson Mountain, shown here from Crestone Needle to the southeast, was named after the famed explorer, trapper, wilderness guide, Indian agent, and eventual Army officer. Among his many adventures were serving as a guide in the Oregon Territory for explorer John Fremont with the U.S. Topographical Corps starting in 1842, and time as a lieutenant colonel for the Union in New Mexico during the Civil War. He came to Colorado Territory soon thereafter as brigadier general and was given command at Fort Garland at the southern foot of Blanca Peak. This similar angle shows the mountain from Crestone Peak. While these pictures show its upper ramparts, this one from a point near its sub-peak immediately to the west, and this one from the sub-peak's northwest slopes. The peak is part of the Sangre de Cristo Range in the south-central part of the state, which is shown in this footage to the west while traveling through the Wet Mountain Valley. Here the range is seen to the east while going south through the San Luis Valley, with Kit Carson Mountain visible to the left of the Crestones. In addition to Kit Carson Mountain, the Crestone group consists of Crestone Peak, Crestone Needle, and Humboldt Peak. Like the Peak and the Needle, the naming of Kit Carson Mountain is unclear. Early mountain men had referred to the mountains collectively as the Three Tetons, likely due to their similar appearance to the then already well-known Wyoming peaks. The Hayden Survey mapped the area in 1874 and 1875, introducing the names Crestone and Kit Carson to the peaks, but this and subsequent surveys provided conflicting accounts for which peaks were known by which names. By 1916, the names of these peaks had pretty much been established as we know them today. The Crestones and Kit Carson were also the last Colorado 14ers to have recorded climbs made of them, which was finally accomplished in 1916 by a party that included mountaineering pioneer Albert Ellingwood. Kit Carson's west subpeak was dubbed Challenger Point in 1987, the year after the explosion of the space shuttle of the same name. Here, Challenger Point is seen from the upper reaches of Kit Carson. Today, the name Kit Carson Mountain is usually used to refer to the entire massif, while Kit Carson Peak refers to the high point. For additional bits of history about the Crestones and the Sangre de Cristo Range, do see my video on Crestone Peak. The standard route up these peaks is quite long and involves a very large elevation gain. For this reason, it may be advisable to break the route up into 2 days by camping in the area just below Willow Lake. You can reach the Willow Creek trailhead by turning east from Highway 17 onto Road T on the south side of the town of Moffett and following this for about 11 miles to Crestone. Once there, turn right onto Galena Street, which becomes Forest Service Road 949. This dirt road is actually pretty good and reaches the trailhead after about 2 miles. This day turned out to be quite an adventure, even more so given the mistakes I made, which I'll get to later. But it also afforded some really amazing scenes and ambiance, I have to say. Anyway, enjoy the footage. It's about 5:15 in the morning here on Thursday, September 15th, 2022. I just went through the town of Crestone and now I'm on Galena Street on my way to the Willow Creek trailhead. And my understanding is only a couple miles on this dirt road, on this dirt portion of the road before you get to the trailhead. It's actually a pretty decent road up to this point. So, see you at the trailhead.
So it's about 10 after 6 in the morning. I'm at the Willow Lake trailhead, about 8,800 feet. Just going to get started on the trail here. I'm going to try to climb Challenger Point, and my ability and the weather willing, I'm going to try to then go on to Kit Carson Peak. Just getting started on the trail here. Still pretty dark out, getting lighter though. So immediately following a trailhead, you reach this sign. South Crestone Lake to the left. I want Willow Lake Trail to the right. That's going to take me towards the peaks. So I'm going to head to the right.
And just after that sign, you reach this creek crossing right here. It's a little bit more precarious in the dark, or semi-dark. Logs are pretty stable though, so it's all right.
And it's continuing to get lighter out. The path is a moderate but steady incline thus far. Okay, so now I've been going up these switchbacks up the hillside. It's light enough now. I put the flashlight away. As I understand, a lot of this approach hike consists of these sections of switchbacks, and the peaks are actually to the southeast of here overall. And what this is going to consist of overall is, I think, roughly the first 2/3 of the distance is an overall eastward hike up to Willow Lake, and then once you reach the lake, approximately the last third of the distance to the peaks is an overall south direction. It's going to be a long haul today. I think it's somewhere in the area of 15 round-trip miles, and a total, if you do both peaks, a total of about 6,300 feet in elevation gains. So it's going to be a challenge today, in addition to what I understand is some class 3 terrain, so should be fun. Still going up these moderately ascending switchbacks here. Entering the Sangre de Cristo Wilderness, Rio Grande National Forest. So following the wilderness sign, I seem to be on this particularly long southward segment on these overall east directed set of switchbacks here. And the switchbacks have steepened a little now. I'll tell you, this approach hike didn't mess around when it came to gaining some elevation right away. So up here now, I'm temporarily emerging to a vista up here. I believe I'm about close to 10,000 now. So I think I've already gained maybe almost 1,200 feet, believe it or not. And now I descend just a bit before going back into the forest, I believe, right up here. So it looks like I'm gonna re-enter the forest on this path here pretty soon. The next stage, I believe, is going to be to go through the woods and then ultimately up that wall right there, which you emerge up on that at a little over 11,000, I believe, as I make my way up toward the lake. Yeah, this path is picked back up into a gentle incline again. Still got this neat vista off to the right. Yeah, I've gotten up here to maybe about 10-2 or so, and the path is switching back once again through these woods. So I think I've veered a little more northeast temporarily. So this current set of switchbacks seems to be directed kind of northeast overall. Probably up here at about 10-4 or 10-5 or so. And I'm still going up that same aforementioned series of switchbacks. Well, alongside these boulders here, okay, now I seem to be on this gentler, more straightaway stretch after that series of long switchbacks back there. Looks like I'm coming up to a crossing, and after that stream back there we got more switchbacks. So I've arrived, I think, up here at close to 10-9 to this creek crossing. It looks like I could either go across those rocks there, or those logs. However, I think I see something that's maybe a better choice. Which is up over this large rock right here. And then you simply have to go across that narrow section there. As long as this rock isn't too slippery. Doesn't seem like it. It's pretty dry. So. Alrighty. So just after the creek crossing back there, I begun this series of switchbacks in an overall southeast direction. It's going to take me up toward that wall I showed you back there and mentioned. That's quite a transformation. Yeah, I figured this section could get pretty steep. This section's quite a grind. I think I'm getting fairly close to the kind of the top of this though. So now I'm up here at kind of a flatter rocky stretch at about 11.2 or so, heading more straight eastward now. And back into a wooded stretch again. So cross the stream once again. Decently placed boulders here. And now I'm kind of gently once again switch back in my way closer to the lake. Well, I've reached the area of this waterfall up here. Okay, now I'm on this steep rocky stretch up toward the lake. So just after that, you get to the top of that and to this sign here, Challenger Point and Kit Carson to the left. You go to the left here and this path wraps around the north side of the lake and around its east end before you head south up toward the rugged high terrain, toward the high peaks. And you can see the lake down there. That's at about 11.6, so I'm up here at maybe 11.7, 11.8 or so, starting to proceed around on the north side of the lake. Path has gotten rocky on this stretch. coming in. Now reached the east end of the lake. And now I'm going to proceed. I'm going to veer more southward around the east end of it. So I've crossed the waterfall, across the stream rather, above the waterfall. So after crossing that, you kind of go across a few rock slabs and then marked with cairns, and then you kind of keep following this path as it veers more to the south. And I'm probably almost at 12,000 now, and you come up to this sign here, Upper Willow Lake to the left. I want Challenger Point and Kit Carson Peak, which is going to be to the right. And pretty quick here, I think the terrain is going to become quite a bit rougher. So far, I've been just winding my way up on these rocky stepped sections of path, mixed in with some slabs and dirt sections of this pretty well marked trail. Now it looks like there's quite a section of talus to go up here. The path looks like it's pretty well marked though. And this zigzagging talus section is fairly grueling. This is getting pretty steep here. Well, after that zigzaggy rocky stuff, we've reached this kind of more gentler, grassier stretch of terrain up here. Well, that didn't last too long. So one thing I've been noticing up here is there seem to be a fair number of side paths that look good, lead off into other directions. However, the main path is pretty well cairned if you take care to look for it. So I'm up here at probably 12.4, 12.5 or so, and I've reached the point where now I will begin to climb up the rock on the left side of this big rock rib here, and my understanding I will be doing that until above 13,000. There's a rock rib right there. So continuing till after that rock slab right there, the path through here continues to be well maintained, well stepped, easily discernible, well marked. So up in here, the path has gotten, as you can see, closer to the wall and is less rock and more dirt. So right here the path seems to be, I don't know, braided, I guess you'd say, to two options. You got more of a loose dirt one on that side and a more slabby, rocky one on this side. I'm going to try to go up this rockier part on the right and see how that treats me. Regardless, this section is pretty steep up next to this slab. See, now this part starts turning more to dirt too. Now, as you probably noticed, the path has gotten less discernible as I've gone up through this section adjacent to the rib, and it's become more adverse as well, of course. Still got a little ways to go alongside this. So back there, the path diverged away from the rib, and it looks like it is continuing to angle up away from it to the left. So up to this point, this path angling away from the rib adjacent section has been a nice reprieve. I think I'm at about 13.2 to 13.3 right now. Head up this terrain here, which looks like it's becoming a little more unpleasant again, a little looser. But I knew that was going to happen. And there seem to be multiple possible pathways weaving their way up through this section. And this is kind of some mid-sized talus mixed in with looser gravel and small rocks. A little bit precarious. Over here, you can see the fog continuing to roll across, as I'm sure you've been noticing. It's been present the whole morning so far. It's been rolling in from the west like that for quite some time. It's actually been obscuring the visibility fairly significantly. I'm hoping that right now it's starting to break apart. I'm noticing visibility starting to get better here, which is good because this section here has been pretty rugged so far. Pretty rugged, gotta say. Continue upward. You can see that one rib way down there, and when I went up alongside that, then I've kind of traversed away from that and up to where I am now. And I think this part of the route is kind of confusing. I crossed this kind of space right here, and I think I am, rather than going through that opening up there, what I think it looks like I need to do is continue over toward the gully on my left and then continue up toward that, or rather up alongside that and toward the top. My understanding is eventually up there somewhere there is a notch in the ridge that you go through to gain access to the top of Challenger Point. So hopefully fairly soon up here I will be able to discern.
So I believe it was somewhere in this area that I committed my first major foul up of the day. This picture shows the north slopes, and after diverging from the rib, the actual route weaves its way, approximately as shown here, up toward the indicated notch in the ridge. In doing so, it stays to the right of the gullies. Now, instead of this, I think what I did was at maybe about 13.5 or so, I took a false path leftward and ended up trying to negotiate up through the terrain shown here. This had me searching for ways up the slope on Class 3 rock both between and within the gullies themselves. Then at some point I decided that wasn't going to work, so I headed back in the direction I had come from. And I believe after that I went up into the area shown here, which also seemed to consist of rough Class 3 rock and no clear path upward. This having failed, I ended up back over in the areas of the gullies again, where, as you'll see, I somehow found my way upward and reconnected with the actual path somewhere not far below the notch. You know, after checking things out up there, that seems to lead up into another gully. I don't want to really go up, so I've decided to come back and revisit this opening up here and see if the path goes up through here.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna get down out of this right here. All right, we continue up right here. That stuff is so loose. Well, maybe after that ordeal, I found the optimum path after all.
So like I said, fortunately I did finally reach the actual path again, not far from the notch. While the fog certainly didn't help with the route finding on this tricky slope, all I can say is stay focused on where the main path goes. Stay to the right of the gullies and don't be led to the even more treacherous terrain there or to the right of the route.
Yeah, it looks like I am starting to approach the notch in the ridge up there. I'm gonna take a break. All right, continuing upward toward the notch in the ridge of Challenger Point up there. I think I'm at, 13.7, 13.8 maybe. I believe the notch is close to 13.9. So the route at this point isn't too hard to maintain because kind of in between these walls here. I'd rather negotiate these blocks than that loose path over there. South to get to this point. Now it looks like you veer to the southeast on this path right here and walk over toward the top. Look at this. This is pretty interesting. These crystals right here. Covering those rocks up there, and the wind blows from that direction. And a vista to the San Luis Valley over there. I think you can see Challenger Point up ahead there. There's some sunshine. Literally the first time today that I felt that, I think. Looks like I need to be up higher. Let's double back over this way. Now, go down lower that path, or just stay up here. Okay, looks like I'm gonna go on the ascent more again. So now I'm a little ways below the ridge crest. break again there, and now I think I'm ready for the final effort towards challenging point. Alright, so made it to the top of Challenger Point anyway. You can see Crestone over there, that fog enveloping it. There's Kit Carson Peak itself right there. There toward the wet mountain valley. Ridge where I came from. San Luis Valley. Anyway, I'm going to have some snacks and then probably press onward to Kit Carson. Alright, I'm leaving Challenger Point. I guess I'll try to go down lower. Good. That's a pretty impressive rock wall there, I have to say, of Kit Carson Peak. And I'm coming down now to the saddle between it and Challenger Point here about 13.8. And the next leg of this is I'm going to go turn right up onto this ledge, skirts the side of the wall there. The ledge is commonly called Kit Carson Avenue, and I'll be going on an ascending stretch of that up here shortly. So now I'm entering onto the ledge, and I got to ascend this up to that protruding rock up there called the Prow, and that is at close to 14,000. This is a fairly steep stretch of this ledge. Look at the impressive face of Challenger Point there. Continuing up the avenue and this impressive rock wall itself. Almost to the Prow. I made it up here to the Prow. Crest tones over there. Now I'm turning down now. I had been going south on that upward stretch of the avenue. Now it turns more towards the east, and I'm going to descend this equally steep stretch down a few hundred vertical feet. This is some kind of neat rock right here. It looks pretty much exactly like the rock of that rib earlier today. I'm going to continue down past this opening here. And as I understand it, I'm going to keep descending until I get down close to where that big slab is down there with the groove right down the middle of it. And at that point, I begin the final ascent, I believe. Alright, and there's that big slab with the groove in it, getting closer to that, and I'm down here now at probably 13.6, 13.7, and I believe I've arrived at the area where I need to turn to the left and ascend up this sort of gully, which will lead me the additional 400 to 500 feet to the top of this mountain. So yeah, here we go.
Final stretch. Yeah. This will stay to the left of this slab in the middle here. Cairns over here. Semblance of a path back over here. You know, so far this ascent hasn't been too tough to follow. It's got some loose stuff so far, but I would characterize it up to this point as significantly more pleasant than stretches of the ascent leading up to Challenger Point back there, leading up to the final ridge bit rather. But we'll see how the rest of this goes. The terrain's gotten a little looser on me here. This way a little. Yeah, this ascent still isn't too unpleasant after so far. Step up onto this more solid rock here. Well, I think I'm getting fairly close to the top of this. I feel like the top is over the left of this rock in the middle, so they go that way. Plus it looks like the path is right here.
so come up that gully, and it looks like come up here for the final ridge ascent to the summit in what's going to amount to the final leg in this spiraling motion to reach the top of this mountain. Traversing up a little bit. Back up more steeply. Okay. Now the path re-emerges a little more discernibly. Looks like I made it to the top of Carson Peak. That was a hell of a journey.
It was somewhere on this stretch that I made my second and much more serious foul up of the day. In descending the final stretch, I made the apparently all too common blunder of missing the right turn back onto the avenue and continuing down the side of the mountain. By the time I realized I had gone down way too far, I was somewhere way down here, many hundreds of feet below the avenue. At first, I made a couple attempts to negotiate up the side of the mountain, like so, but realized that was too treacherous, so I found a better way up more toward the right. I decided to continue up toward the top again to try and regain my bearings, and that led me up a long, rugged Class 3 gully. From there, I traversed leftward a bit and began descending again to try to reach the avenue. I overshot it a little, but traversed back upward a bit and finally got back on track again. So I finally made it back to the avenue. Gotta go up this thing, and coming down from the summit of Carson Peak, I have to admit I had kind of a mishap. Went the wrong way, ended up going way too far down, and it cost me, in order to find my way back to the right place, it cost me probably about 2.5 hours. So and a lot of energy, so that's going to turn this into an extra long day. I'm glad to be back on the right track now, though. And I made it back to the Prow. Now I've got to turn right on the avenue, go down, and then after that I've got to go all the way back up to the top of Challenger Point, and now some actual bona fide weather appears to be rolling in with precipitation. It actually snowed those little pellets for a while earlier as I was trying to get back on track, but that went away. But now more precipitation looks to be coming in. Anyways, to make this as quick as possible. Now I'm heading up Challenger Point for the second time, now from the other side. And it's a damn good thing this is the last uphill stretch of the day, because I am just about on empty here. So I'm just now coming down off of Challenger Point. Now I'm going to try to make my way over to the notch in the ridge, where I will then begin the treacherous descent down what I had to come up in order to get to that point. So this really is a day that's never going to end. And this second round of precipitation so far seems to be just the little snow pellets, which are pretty harmless for the most part, unless they get too numerous and start causing the rocks to get wet. That happened a little bit to me earlier, so we'll see. I just made it back to the notch in the Challenger Point Ridge. I'm going to start descending down these treacherous slopes, which I thought were the most trying part of the ascent. So we'll see how this goes. I hope I can stay on the path a little bit better this time. So far, the descent down this stretch is going fairly well. I'm coming down on the left, on the return on the left of these gullies here. Trying to take this pretty slow, since I'm pretty damn tired and this is loose and steep and fairly treacherous. So.
Yeah, it's stuff like that that makes it difficult. Yeah, and this is one of the things that I think gave me trouble on the ascent through this section, is coming up from down there. I rather than heading left up the path right there that I just came down from, I decided earlier to go up here and explore around, thinking that was likely the way to go. And then it's also stuff like this that make the stretch like this more trying. And gotten back down to the rib again. And all of its tendencies. Yeah, some of these rocks are wet. That's always a hazard. Well, I finally left the rib behind, and I have mercifully entered back onto easier terrain once again, which for the most part it will be from here on out.
While the route up these two peaks already involves very high endurance stats and some climbing challenges, my unintentional off-route detours stretched what should have been about an 11-hour day to around 14 hours, the longest time I've ever spent on a 14-hour day climb. It was already completely dark well before I got back to the trailhead at around 8 p.m. I also ended up gaining what had to be well over 7,000 feet in total elevation for the day. To me, the most difficult part of this route, objectively speaking anyway, is probably the stretch up the north slopes of Challenger Point from just above 13,000 feet to the notch, both technically and probably navigationally as well. And I'll say it once more, these peaks do harbor lurking directional pitfalls, so consciously take a look around at the critical junctures and try to study the terrain beforehand to increase your chances of safely returning to the route in the event of a wrong turn or a missed turn. If you can successfully negotiate these challenges on this long route, you're sure to be in for some uniquely spectacular Sangre de Cristo vistas. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next mountain.